Good evening, and I welcome you to your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. As always, we bring you insightful conversation with personalities that have really lived, not just existed, but they have lived it, particularly when it comes to our Fourth Republic. I am your host, Emmanuel Jr., and this evening, one interesting conversation that a lot of people do not talk about is what we are going to dive into. And it has to do with our politics and what we always refer to as apparatchiks, or better still, we call them foot soldiers. These are a significant part of our political process, and unfortunately, a lot of people do not give attention to them. In general politics, one thing we are sure of is that we have those who fund activities of the political parties. We also have those who sit just on the fence and they say that, well, let's watch and see what is happening. And we have another group. They are the most important groups, and they have to do with individuals who will actually carry the manifestos of the political parties. They sell the manifestos of the political parties. They even protect the activities and the security of the political parties. When today, political parties want to make noise, they look for these people. Today, when political parties want to go on demonstration and be on the streets and all that is needed, they look for these people. Unfortunately, when the political party comes to office, this group of people seems to be individuals that are abandoned, or they are not given much attention. And that is where, when political parties come to power, the leadership will turn around and tell these people that, well, you don't have qualifications, or you are not fit to hold a certain position and all that. The flip side of it is that these persons come together, they get angry, and out of frustration, they find a way of frustrating the smooth operation of governance. And we have seen this over the past years, particularly in this Fourth Republic, with particular attention to the governance under His Excellency John Ejekum Kufuor. We saw how political apparatchiks decided to take hold of certain premises and certain businesses belonging to the government because they felt that their party has come to power. His Excellency Atta Mills recorded the same thing. Indeed, under His Excellency John Mahama, we got to a stage where we even felt that it was the political foot soldiers who were determining how appointments should be done. And what readily comes into mind is how during the appointment, the first, second batch of appointees came up, and one name was missing, and that had to do with Haruna Idrisu, and how political apparatchiks in that region came out strongly. Less than 24 or 48 hours, he found his name being part of those that were given the appointment. Now, in recent time, what we are experiencing is extremely dangerous, where we have, under His Excellency Akufo-Addo, we are witnessing political foot soldiers or apparatchiks having the audacity to even go to premises belonging to national security and holding the necks of the national security operatives or directors and pulling them out of the offices just because they feel their party is in power and so they need to take charge. And not only am I referring to the case that transpired or took place in Kumasi, I'm also making reference to where a military man was physically assaulted right at the presidency. I'm talking about the Jubilee House, as we will call it. It is so alarming, and that's why this evening we're going to have a conversation around it, whether or not these individuals are justified in the things they do, whether or not there are ways for us to ensure that we can manage and take care of them so that we can still protect the democracy that we are having, whether or not, particularly in this Fourth Republic, we are, allowing danger to take place. These are questions that we'll be talking about. And so we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, I'm going to introduce to you our guest for this evening's episode. Just stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. For bulk purchase, call 0596 273 546 or 0596 273 547. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson, and you are tuning to your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. This evening, our topic for discussion has to do with Ghana's Fourth Republic, as we've been discussing since we started this year. And the focus is going to be on the roles and challenges posed by political apparatchiks on our democracy. And honestly, there's no other person to help us have this discussion than the guest we have this evening. There's a guest that everyone should know in this country because the name is a household name. He has been a diplomat, or he is a diplomat, because I'm told that once a diplomat, always a diplomat. So he's a diplomat, he's a medical doctor, and he has also served as a military doctor. And was having the rank of a captain. So he's also a captain or retired or ex-captain of the military. Now, he's a sports administrator, and when we mention his name, you really know the role that he played. He was strongly with the Ghana Football Association, that is GFA, and he's also an astute politician. This is a man I will only describe simply as a statesman, and I'm talking about no other person than Captain Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. Doc, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you too.
It's always a privilege anytime we get closer to you because you have so much to share. And most importantly, not only to share, but you have a lot that you talk about which helps shape the mindset and the thinking of particularly the younger generation. So it is always a privilege to have you with us. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure seeing you.
This evening, we are having a conversation around something that a lot of people don't talk about. And we are discussing what others would refer to as party apparatchiks. In this part of the country, we will always refer to them as political foot soldiers. Now, over the past period, there has been so much issues surrounding that. Party apparatchiks, party foot soldiers, and all that. Even before we go into Ghana and the Fourth Republic, will you be kind enough to tell us how this whole phenomenon or concept of party foot soldiers, party apparatchiks, how did it evolve? How did it start in our politics?
Well, in our politics, in fact, this subject, I'm sure would have better been handled by Kwesi Pratt.
All right.
Because he can really say a lot about it.
Right.
I will say what I know. Party apparatchiks, really, the word itself tells you that it's a foreign word in English language.
That's right.
Which came from the Soviet Union, what you call Russia.
Okay.
Now, after the removal of the monarchy, they used to have kings and queens like you have in England.
Right.
Indeed, one of the, I think the last one to be released, to be removed as a Russian king,
right,
was a relative, a cousin of Queen Elizabeth's, I think, father.
Oh, okay.
Now, when they removed the monarchy,
yeah,
in the Soviet Union, or Russia then, and the whole thing was not properly planned. So there was a serious disorganization going on. And then learning.
Yeah.
That great philosopher quickly jumped in.
Okay.
And he brought sanity and order into the system. And of course, he took the opportunity also to make sure his ideals and interests are seen to. Now, it was during his time that you had what one can call apparatchiks. These were a group of fanatics who have been well organized. Okay. And they are always asked to do a particular work by the political class at that time in the Soviet Union. I'm talking about the leadership then under Lenin. And this continued, you know. They were responsible for arrests and sometimes even murdering of people. And this continued for some time.
Oh, murdering of people?
Oh, yes. They carried a lot of very worrying, what do you call it, situations there. So finally when Lenin passed on, I think then Stalin came on.
Okay.
Stalin stayed for quite a long time because he was the one who was in charge of the Soviet Union throughout the Second World War. Now, Stalin also continued with it, plus his secret army. Now, his secret army was official, but the apparatchiks were tied up to the party. That you follow me?
I get it.
Apparatchiks really are not recognized by any government that I know.
Okay.
They are fanatics that are used and then later on disposed of. Now, if you want to maintain them, then you have to organize them, and it creates a problem. And I'll give you an example of leaders who maintain some and the problems that it brought. Now, after Stalin, I think, came Khrushchev. Khrushchev also continued with them in the Soviet Union. And they continue. Even today, under the present leadership, you have them. Because virtually, you can say that they form part of the structures of the political system there. Now, when we come to Ghana, during the time of Nkrumah, I was a kid, but I knew, or I have been told, that there was something similar. Especially when we had problems in the Ashanti region and then the colony between Nkrumah CPP and the then opposition United Party. There were a lot of scuffles that took place in Kumasi. People even lost their lives. Then the CPP apparatchiks, if I'll call, the fanatics. You know, but I've forgotten the name they gave them those days. Now, in the UP, they were popularly known as Matimehu. That's a name that was so popular there. So in fact, some people refer to them as the Matimehu people. They were also very strong behind the United Party. Mind the United Party was formed when Nkrumah decided that there should be one political party against his party in parliament, so that there will be better understanding, so that the ruling of the nation will be smoother. So quite the number of political parties got together. I remember the one in Accra here called Ganshifimokwe. And then you have the Ashanti Young Association or Ashanti Union. You have the Northern People's Party. You have the Togoland Congress. You have the Angolon Youth. We had even the Muslims Council. You know, these were all sort of fragmented political institutions that were all brought together to form the United Party. I think that was in 1953 or so. I can't remember well now. Now, so when these two identify political parties, the United Party, you know, the United Party, the bulk of the United Party membership came from the North. They came from the North because they had the largest representation at Parliament. And the name of their party was Northern People's Party. What we call is the people, well, almost MPP have the same.
Yeah.
So they were the giants. They came down, headed by S.D. Domo.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when they got into Parliament, they have to get together with the splinter groups who have representatives in Parliament. And they had a leader at that time, but they gave the leadership role to Professor K. Buzia to handle. Which has brought a lot of other political, you know, what do you call it, changes and problems to this country to today. And why Domo didn't take the leadership, no one really understands. I was a child, I couldn't have known. Strange enough, when Buzia went into exile for years and Nkrumah was removed, when he came back, once again, Domo allowed Buzia to lead.
Right.
And also, these implications for history.
That's right, yeah.
Now, apparatchiks, normally, a government, right from the colonial period, puts up a group of people. It's part of the what do you call, the security system. We have to get this clear here. The security system that has been there since colonial period, to know how the people are feeling, their temperament towards certain issues, policies and whatnot. But this particular group is a group made of specialized people, not political thugs. I think you follow me.
I get it, yeah.
Now, the colonial administration then called them, called it special branch. Special branch. They are part of the police system, just like the criminal investigation department. You can't identify them. In fact, you can't identify them at all because they don't put on uniform. You hardly see them in police circles, but they are doing their work. They did a lot of well reports, which some were very accurate. And then, as we kept on going on, we kept on developing our political process. When Nkrumah was removed, I was even informed that this special branch were aware of Nkrumah's removal. But the interesting thing is that the leadership of the special branch then were also in the know. Now, without some of them,
it wouldn't have happened.
The removal of Nkrumah would have been possible. So it continued, yes. Then after that, we got into the chain of police, what do you call it, as a police, military administration, you know, Achampon as follows, various coup d'etats. Even I myself have been involved in one before. And we got to this present political dispensation.
Exactly. That's the Fourth Republic.
Exactly. We had a special branch. The time that I was arrested, myself and other colleagues, military officers, were arrested for attempting a coup d'etat. By then it was a special branch. Now after that, then I learned they changed it to BNI. And I learned it's called NIB, whatever that means, I don't know. So they keep on changing themselves. I'm talking about the official group. Now, these other ones you are talking about, they are non-official. And I'll tell you, countries that have put in place such political thugs and how it caused the nation and destroyed the nation. First one is Germany.
Okay.
under Adolf Hitler.
Right.
He had those, they used to call them the brown shirts. Because the shirts they wear to identify, they were like a paramilitary force. You follow me? They were armed and everything.
Organized by Hitler.
Hitler organized them. He had various, the Gestapo and all this sort of, And their main objective was to follow what the leader says, what Adolf Hitler says. And they did exactly that. But finally, Germany was destroyed. It was totally destroyed during the Second World War by these same people. Okay. We had a similar one also in Italy under Benito Mussolini.
Okay.
Mussolini also had what he called the black shirts. They identified them by the color
of the shirt.
The shirt they wear. And later on, he had a sort of union with Adolf Hitler.
Okay.
And the two of them were so close that there was a time Benito was arrested by a group of soldiers sent somewhere on the hills of Rome.
Okay.
And he got a message to Germany, and German paratroopers went to rescue him. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So there have been a lot of dire situations in politics for years.
Yeah.
So as I said, these particular group of Adolf Hitler, what do you call it, Benito Mussolini, and there's a third person, I've forgotten, General Franco of Spain.
All right.
The same
strategy,
Now, when their era passed, then the proper establishment of democratic dispensation across the Western world started.
Yeah.
In America, Britain, and then they started restructuring Germany itself.
Sure.
Right from the rubble to what we see today.
Sure.
So now democratic dispensation was firmly put in place. And the certain policies that goes with it must be implemented. Okay. That political parties and the rest. And the democracies in the West, such groupings, as we call them, the apparatchiks, were non-existent, and I believe strongly they are still non-existent. Because definitely they cannot be tolerated by the leadership.
Right.
You might have youth organizations, you might have women's organizations within a political party, but I don't think they are up to anything dangerous. And what we have here in our country now, in our recent political development, was started also by my own party.
Doc, before we get into that, I just want to get something clear. With this introduction and the history you've given, can we conclude that political apparatchiks are just unofficially affiliated to political parties or regimes of the day, just to be used for, in quotes, dirty works?
Oh, absolutely. That's what they are there for.
Okay.
That's why I say they are not part. Let's say you have a military.
Right.
They can't be part of the military.
The military.
They can't be part of the other security system. They are on their own. They come directly under the political leadership of that particular party.
Okay.
I think we follow.
I get it perfectly. Very well. So we're coming to how it started here.
So here recently we heard about, when even we were in opposition, this sort of groupings, ideas came, and some of us were not really happy with it, but it didn't take long, and we knew that there were foreigners here from Serbia.
Right, yeah.
And they were arrested. And these are experts. Their policy or their plan is to destabilize a democratic country. Especially they will look for the most important 3 pillars.
Okay.
And then they'll get them disorganized, and that's the end of the government.
Yeah.
And they were arrested.
Right.
Strange enough, they were not tried. I didn't hear of any trial at all.
They were actually deported.
And they were deported.
Yeah.
Why that government at that time did that, their security experts might be the only group of people who can probably explain to us, the public.
That's true, yeah.
But I think that was a big mistake. They should have found out exactly why they are here and whatnot, and before they take any action, if anything at all. If they have been caught training people to use weapons, which documentary evidence were put before the nation, definitely they should have been tried, but they weren't tried. And then, like a joke, they became part of the party.
Sure.
You know, the NDC also had a similar thing. And I remember, I can't remember the name, but it was led by one gentleman from the north.
Okay.
Whose name I've forgotten now.
Is it, pardon me if I get it wrong, but is it one man by name Azoka? Something Azoka. I think he was the chairman, the regional chairman.
It's one Azoka.
Azoka, okay.
Azoka,
yeah. Chief Azoka, I think so, yeah.
In one of the elections during the time of our rule, during the time of J.
Kufuor, yes.
They held a congress. And then at Lagos, I forgot exactly what it was. And this group really demonstrated.
That's true.
And their strength.
Yeah.
And I remember, if it had not been for government protection, this gentleman, what was his name?
Obeda Samuel.
Obeda Samuel would have been eliminated.
That's true.
That day.
Yeah.
And government had to protect him.
Yeah.
And also was, I think, this woman who is now in NPP.
Frances is here.
Frances is here, you know.
That's true.
So you can talk on both sides. Who brought this idea to them, only God knows.
That's right.
But they don't serve any good purpose. They always lead to destruction. Now look at how my own people behaved when we were even in power. How they will go to a recognized what do you call it, BNI officer's office and drag him out of the office. So it tells you that they are a group of...
A whole regional director of BNI.
You see?
Yeah.
So I think it really doesn't help any political groupings at all. And the earlier they are done with, the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
This, I also was welcome confusion.
Exactly.
They were part of it.
That's true.
They were part of it.
Where we ended up having a group of so-called policemen in the name of what? I've forgotten, but it was, they described them as someone's boys. A name came. I've forgotten the name, but I will get it.
If you see them, I have been a soldier. If you see a soldier, a real soldier, you can identify a real soldier. If you see somebody who is just wearing the uniform too, you can know. So also is the police.
Yeah.
And they look so clumsy in those uniforms. You can easily identify them.
That's right.
And they created that trouble there. And even unfortunately, a commission that was set up by the same government, up to now, we don't know the recommendations have not been implemented. And that is
so sad. Yeah.
That's very sad.
So sad.
So to me, apparatchiks really don't play any important role in the modern day politics.
But you see, Doc, others may want to differ in the sense that they don't play a role when it comes to securing our democracy. But they play a significant role when it comes to the internal or the individual political parties, ensuring that those parties win elections.
Now, as I explained earlier, you have youth organizations in the democratic setups in the U.S., in Britain, and in Germany and other places. They play their role without interfering with the mainstream political organization. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And they don't see themselves as special group from the main political party.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have the youth organization, they are there to assist the party to grow.
To grow.
So also is the female group. You follow me? But where they are put under special control by a special leader who probably might be responsible to the head of state or whoever is in power, then it becomes a problem. Yeah. So, and believe me, one interesting thing is that they are always overpowered by the bigger population when the bigger population can't take it anymore. Exactly. They are always, in history it has always been proven.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's why I say they don't really help at all.
From all indication, we've all had our bite. I'm not sure of Rawlings's era. Did we have political parachiks also interfering?
Well, Rawlings' era, PNDC was not a political party.
Right.
They had various types of small groupings. They have PDCs, if I can remember. It's long ago, but PDC, People Defense Committees.
Yes.
You know, they said them everywhere in offices and everywhere. These are all part of the wrongdoings I'm talking about. And people hated them. Yeah. Oh, people really hated them. Right now, nobody would like to even to identify himself or herself as a former PDC personnel. You follow me?
They caused a lot of atrocities. Absolutely. As we established earlier, they were used to do the dirty work. They were used to do the dirty work.
And bringing wrong reports about individuals to security agencies and whatnot. You know, these are not good.
How do we deal with it? In fact, the other thing is, from our indication, it has been established that they are not really helping our democracy. Whether we like it or not, people are using it for their personal interests.
Oh, yeah.
So leaders of the day, they will use it for their personal interests. Political parties in opposition, they will use it for their personal interests. Indeed, you will see leaders coming out boldly to condemn. And behind the scene, they are the same people who will be encouraging them to go and pursue a certain act or to engage in dirty works, as we have described it. Do you see the trend going on? Do you see that they pose any significant threat to the existence of our democracy or our republic?
Oh, they do. Just as I enumerated from the time of Lenin, you follow me?
That's right.
When Lenin died, Stalin took over. Stalin died. Then you have what they call Troika. Now, Troika was made up of Malenkov, Beria, and Molotov. So if you have read about how they left the scene before Khrushchev came, I mean, you see the same tactics. And it follow like that until this civilian who came recently and turned the Soviet Union around and completely dismantled the Soviet Union. I've forgotten his name. Until he came, and then, you know, you started having some sort of democratic dispensation there until this present leader came. And they have gone back to their old ways. So, but these groupings, they never help.
In any way.
They destroy.
That's right.
Because, one, you have to make sure you pay them. Where do you get the money from? The funds from, the money from, to pay them. So the money will have to come either from government chest or through individuals who, you know, come up with that. Then these days, hardly will get individuals paying such huge amounts of money. You follow me? Or they themselves will be on their own, turning themselves into national security operatives, which they are not. You know, all sort of confusion. You follow me?
I was just coming to say that before we take a break, that when they help you to come to office and you are not able to keep them, that is where we end up creating unnecessary jobs, and we describe it as job for the boys.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, what we don't realize is that it adds on the burden, that we already carry as a nation. And so individuals who come up and say, okay, just go to the military, just go to the police. In fact, the National Security Office is where, you know, a lot of these things takes place. So you see individuals today, tomorrow, you see them on the streets and they describe themselves as national security operatives.
No, but what the problem is that these particular characters I'm talking about, they call themselves so, but they are not.
They are not.
Officially. In government changes, you don't see any.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, what is rather disturbing now, to me, very disturbing, and I'm glad to hear, I was listening to General Mensah.
Yeah.
I listened to one of his interviews on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he was asked this question. Years back, that time, he was far from my senior.
Right.
You know, soldiers are selected on competence. Listen to me carefully. Even during my period, our time when I was a young officer, I was part of a committee that was put in place to select soldiers, not officers.
Right.
And it will amaze you that we have to visit all the 9 regions in the country. 9 regional capitals.
Right.
We started from Ho through the south, north, central, all the way to north. We ended up at Boku.
Okay.
But then Boku was not even a region by itself.
Right.
It was not even a capital.
Yeah.
There was not even there was no region there, you know. But because of the population and also the proximity of others in the northwest and whatnot, we ended up at Boku. And believe me, in every region that we went, we make sure the indigents there are picked. Every region.
That's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
Today
but
it's
now,
not so.
It's not so.
Appointments, recruitments.
But now what the politicians do, which is dangerous,
Yeah.
and I will say that word, is very dangerous. So-called protocol list. And believe me, it is destroying our security services.
That's right.
And if we are not careful, it will create a situation here that will be so bad, we can't stand it ourselves.
Doc, this is a very important topic. I mean, an area I want us to dive into. The protocol recruitment and the protocol enlistment. I want us to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the conversation.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforodia Aquadrum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehinfa pa na menya bosia edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre ni yebusia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekokro bosia, susu account, and it does all savings account. Me bada chain savings account, and then the keka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 03422919896. Now one so what to me aka say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back. You are still with your transformative program, Politics and Beyond, and I'm your host, Emmanuel Wilson, with our guest, Captain Dr. Nyaho Tamaklu. Before we went on the break, we were diving into a very important area, and that has to do with recruitment, and not just any recruitment, but we are here talking about what we call the protocol recruitment. Just about 2 or so years, I listened to an interview from the then COP Kofi Boakye, who said that one of his worries has to do with the way and manner in which the security services has been divided, sharply divided, into NDC and NPP, knowing that these are the two parties that have had a chance to lead us in this Fourth Republic. And his argument was that it has been able to get to that stage simply because of the so-called protocol recruitment. We sit here today, we've gotten to a dispensation where even recruitment are done secretly without it being advertised. And so we select individuals, come in, and a maximum of 2, 3, 4 months, the person is told that he or she has passed through the training, and so he's now a military or a police officer. Where on the average, I thought that training takes more than the 2, 3 months. But unfortunately, this is what is happening. And it is all because these are individuals that were used or operated as apparatchiks, foot soldiers. And now there's pressure on the leadership. And so because they can't take care of them anymore, they've decided that let's just push them, forgetting or ignoring the bigger picture. Doc, this issue of protocol recruitment. Now, what challenge does it really pose, and how do we ensure that this thing is stopped?
I think it's a very dangerous development for our politics. Very dangerous. You see, the security services, before you enter, you go through rigorous interviews, rigorous training. You are completely turned from a civilian into a soldier.
Right.
You'll be surprised. I have gone through and I know that. Now, the moment someone is shortlisted, if I'll say so, and put into the system, number one, he won't be able to fit in properly.
Very well.
Number two, you see him to be somebody who will be creating problems for the system or establishment. And many a time when we see, in quote, soldiers or policemen in trouble, these are the type of people.
Right.
You follow me? And it's becoming worrying now. Because what Kofi Boakye said is 100%. I mentioned it earlier in my, my presentation.
Yeah.
100% correct. And I don't see why the leadership, because this can only be reversed or stopped by the leadership of the security services.
Very true.
Because when the government is in power, its interest is to hold on to power.
Yeah.
But you can't hold on to power indefinitely.
That's right.
You follow me? So these so-called protocol lists that they are short training, some of you are talking about 3 months. Some are even given 2 weeks training.
2 weeks training?
Oh, I know what I'm talking about. You follow me?
That's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
How would they even be able to handle the weapons?
That's why I say many a time when there is a problem, they say the armed forces or the police service, if you go in closely, you see that these are the type of people who were brought in through such dubious, what do you call it, channels.
Yeah.
You follow me? So I believe strongly the leadership of the, not just the armed forces, but the police service and other services, but the main, what we call the teeth of what do you call military leadership, must have a talk with the government and tell them the problems that these groupings can create.
Right.
As Kofi Boakye said it right from what you are saying. I told you I was listening to General Eskin.
Yeah.
It was asked a similar General
Nunu Mensah.
It was asked a similar question, and he explained it nicely. You follow me? Because if protocol lists would have been looked at in those days, he wouldn't have been a general by now.
That's true.
Well, he came from a poor background.
That's true.
You follow me?
Yeah.
And we've seen instances where there were a few that I met, you know, in the armed forces. Unfortunately, most of them are dead now.
Okay.
They were just brought in
by
protocol list, by top class, families into the armed forces. Yeah. And they couldn't fit in. They couldn't even become officers. Yeah. Do you understand me? So this is a dangerous thing, especially where you say you are pursuing a democratic dispensation. Yeah. Well, there will be a time where there will be a form of tension. I've said earlier in one of my interviews, the military wasn't put in place to rule civilians. Sure. So they have no business being at the electoral areas, let alone supervise elections. They have no business there. If there should be any security of what do you call it, plan at all that will be put in place, it must be the police. You follow me? Yeah. Now, when the military comes there, then you know that there's a problem. There's a problem. And the way I see things now, and I've said it, and I'll say it again, because it has happened before. What really triggered the removal of General Champo? General Champo was not moved out of power by General Kufu and the rest just for nothing. They realized that the military involvement in governance is now becoming a sort of, what do you call it, a distraction, not only for the armed forces, but for the country. Right. That's why they removed Achampo. Right. You follow me? Because Achampo tried to enter into the civilian political space. By creating what he called Unigov. Exactly. You follow me? Exactly. And he put also in place a referendum. I was listening to one of his military advisors or military chaps called Major Ajay Ampofu recently. Okay. And I'm glad he mentioned certain things that I've said. Now, Achampo in doing that, he wanted to not only to test the will of the people, but also to come out with that sort of camouflage that this is what the people said, so we shall go that way. So a referendum was put in place. Yeah. I was then at, what do you call it, Oshaford prisons. I remember myself, J.H. Mensah, I.C. Kwe, they had a different problem. Okay. And myself and three other officers, we were soldiers. We were attempting to overthrow Achampo, and we were caught. Achampo held this particular thing. He put in place either a high court or appeals court judge called Aban. Okay. Justice Aban. And I'm glad that Major Ampofu mentioned his name. Now, Aban was the electoral commissioner. Years back, all electoral commissioners have been high officials from the bench. You don't pick anybody from somebody. Because the one I remember the VC, ARC, crap. The high official from the bench, then followed by others, until Achampo time. Sure. Aban also was a high official from the bench. Now, Aban, as a disciplined man and a lawyer with integrity, came out with the results as it came from the people. We had what they call no votes and yes votes. Right. You follow me? Yeah. And those who were against Unigov, they wanted a multi-party system. Voted no. And when Aban brought it, Achampo said no way. He must change it. He refused to change it. Interesting. So Aban was in his office when he had information that the soldiers were coming. A whole judge has to jump a wall. He was helped to jump. I'm telling you. Quite interested. I'm telling you, these things have happened. History is always repeating itself here. And people don't see it. Yes. A whole judge. Aban had to jump a wall. And then Achampo brought in, Achampo didn't end there, he brought in a gentleman called Margaret Kwe. Okay. And he came to declare the results. That instead of no winning, he gave the credit rather to Yes Winning.
Yes Winning.
And that was the beginning of his downfall.
Oh.
You follow me? Because the will of the people can never be overturned. Yeah. Never. We should get that straight. I've been saying that all the time. And the way things are going on in this country, as I see, the will of the people will determine who wins the coming elections. Anyone who tries to overturn it will create this country, will put this country into a serious trouble.
Great. You were talking about the military heads, and particularly the IGP, or the police head, being firm to ensure that this issue of protocol recruitments doesn't really take place. And I'm happy with what you just said, because you've brought our attention to the fact that this protocol recruitment, apparatchiks, and all that, it is not only in the security. It goes even into the judiciary and almost all the other sectors, you know. Can we look at it from this perspective? The IGP is appointed by the president. The president is a political figure. Their interest, as you rightly said, is to ensure that they stay in power forever, for whatever reason. For their protection, yes, the political class. So if the leadership of a political party in government, including the president himself, decide that we appointed you the IGP and we want you to enroll this number of individuals, do you think practically the IGP will be able to say no?
Listen to me carefully. The biggest problem facing this country is the lack of, or the culture of resignation. We don't have it. Now, if the IGP, as I see him, if the present IGP, as I say, I don't know him, as I see him, and people praise him up and down. Right now, we have few men even to go into elections. If he's a man of integrity, he will face the president and tell him that this is the problem that I'm facing in my outfit. A stop must be put to this. So also is the head of the armed forces. You see, if the president says no or refuses to act, you take your pen and resign. Nuno Mensah has done it before. I've done it before. Take your pen and resign and leave them.
Martin Amidu did it.
Martin Amidu did it. That's why I said that if we have the culture of resignation, most people will not be in their position today. They would have resigned. You can't do this in the civilized world. All the person would do is to take his pen and recently, just about a few days ago, a whole member of parliament of the ruling government in Britain has resigned and joined the opposition.
That's true.
It's about 3 days ago.
That's true.
And about a month ago, the same thing happened, moving from government to the opposition. Because they realize the policies being pursued by their own government are not good. So I don't see why the IGP or the chief of defense staff should be afraid about this. Because if you rather do that, your name goes into history. Like Joseph Bonzo did years ago. I keep on mentioning all the time because to me it's #1 mark. A young man, he was then a young lawyer, being made a minister responsible for information.
Okay.
But then good old veteran Cameron Dodo was editor of the Graphic. I was then in I think university first year or so.
Which regime was that?
Under General Ankara. Listen to me, under military regime, when Nkrumah was removed. Now, Buzia as what do you call it? Buzia was then in power. You know, he was in power, but he was part of the setup that were helping the soldiers.
Yeah.
Made a statement concerning South Africa, but then South Africa was so bad. We all hated the white rule there.
Yeah.
And he was talking about dialogue with them. You follow me?
Yes.
And it didn't go down well with a lot of Africans. So Cameron Dodo wrote a strong editorial against that dialogue. And the government took decision that Cameron Dodo should be dismissed immediately. without telling the Minister of Information, who was KG Osebunso. He's alive. All he did was to pick a piece of paper and resign. Ankara couldn't believe it.
On matters of principle.
Ankara called him to his office. He said, young man, are you the one who put this? He said, yes. He said, what are your reasons? Sir, if you can take a decision without my knowledge concerning my ministry, then I don't think I can work with you. Simple. And he left. These are the type of people we want to lead this country. And we don't have them.
Yeah.
These are the type of people. They will show leadership for the younger ones to follow. Unfortunately, we don't have them. Look at what is happening now. Concerning OSP or whatever they call them.
Yeah. Attorney General.
It's shameful.
Iyoko.
It's so shameful.
The center
don't
just
forget that young people are listening.
Yeah.
What are they going to learn from this?
Yeah.
Will they have the culture of resignation in future? You follow me?
I get you.
Then the Attorney General must be ashamed of himself. He must be ashamed. I was shocked that an Attorney General will behave this way. You follow me? So these are the things. I mean, if you haven't got a culture of resignation, don't get close to governance. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
This issue of culture of resignation gets me to think a bit more, because it looks like that is exactly where we find ourselves now. And one that comes into my mind, remember the issue of e-levy, which I always make reference to, the introduction of e-levy, where at one breath we saw the sitting vice president saying that he's opposed to it. And then the following moment, his boss, being the president, decided to introduce it, and he tried to justify and rationalize it. Then the next moment, because he wants to be in power or he wants votes, he says that when you vote for me, I'll come and I'll scrap it. And my worry, as you indicated, has to do with what are we communicating to the younger generation? Because it looks like we are telling the younger generation that it is okay to operate without principles. And that is a serious thing affecting us as far as our democracy is concerned.
And that is why this country is not moving forward.
Exactly.
Look, if at times I see on the television so-called party communicators or whatever you call them defending the indefensible,
I agree.
I say, this nation is finished.
I agree.
I mean, you see a clear thievery being defended by some, at times even so-called chairman of the communication team. You follow me?
Yeah.
Now, if this continues, where is it going to lead this country to? And that's why we have in this country at the moment all sort of things going on. Young men rush into politics just because they want property and money. Everybody. In fact, recently, my own uncle, Sami Okujeto, the senior one, he made a statement and I was sad.
Regarding Cecilia Adapa.
Regarding Cecilia Adapa. I believe strongly that anybody who puts up any mansion anywhere whilst in government should be able to account for.
I agree.
But my uncle Okujeto has a different view. Of course, that is his personal view. I believe strongly you have a right to find out, because it happens in civilized countries. You come and put up a 12-story building, government must know. That is when you know that the intelligence, what the work by the police or the military is going on well. They will find out where you got the money.
That's right.
Quietly. They won't come to harass you. Quietly. At the right time, they will let you know.
Sure.
So someone cannot have tons of money in his house, and he or she cannot account for in government. When we have banks, that's why the banks were stopped, or foreign for the currency. I mean, these are simple things.
Exactly.
These are simple things.
And particularly in an era where our CD dollar, I mean, the CD is depreciating like, you know.
Of course, because the city is weakening daily.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Right now, as I'm told, I learned $1 is about 14.
It's almost 15
almost
Ghana
15.
cedis
I mean,
now, because as of yesterday it was 14.85.
14.85. That's almost 15.
Yeah, almost 15 now.
You follow me? I mean, these are disturbing things, very disturbing. And these are things that should concern young people.
Exactly.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So you don't come out. When your party tells you to go and present such a thing to the public, a young man with at least good education should know exactly what you are saying. If you feel it's against your own conviction, you take your pen, leave them. Yeah. Leave them. Yeah. You resign and go away. Because what they want you to do is in direct contrast with what you believe in. But these young men do it. So if by chance he gets up, you see that he will be so corrupt himself that nobody can control him. Yeah. That is what is happening. That is what is happening.
Is it possible we can also say that the other institutions that are supposed to enforce the laws, they have also failed? Of course, it's tied into the fact that our leaders, IGP and the rest, if they have integrity, there are certain things they have to resign from, you know. Recently, not long ago, a number of years, but not so far, we had a whole law being enacted, banning food soldiers, vigilantism, and all that. But as we speak now, political parties, even parties in government, are still using those things.
I didn't get your question well.
So I'm saying that, is it the issue of our law enforcers also failing to operate and do what they need to do? Because apparatchiks, they are not helping us, whether your party is in power or is in opposition. And that is why recently, some few years back, very few years back, not long ago, we as a country decided to ban this vigilantism, political vigilantism as we call them. Even though it has been banned.
Was it done in Parliament?
Anyway, it was just an agreement. You know, even though it has been done, as in it has been agreed upon, and I think I'll have to find out whether it was actually done through Parliament. But I know that it was banned. Now, even though it has been banned, the unfortunate thing is that we still have people in power still using them for their own interest. Is it that our law enforcers themselves have failed us as a country?
No, that's when they have failed us.
What then do we do?
No, you see, the point is, years back, I think even during the colonial period, when we had the last white man to leave the police service.
Right.
The last white man was called Collins. When Collins handed over, that was after independence, not what the Republicans said.
Right.
So after independence, Nkrumah took charge of certain things.
Sure.
He handed over to a gentleman by the name G.R.T. Majiti, a perfect officer from Korobo era, perfect officer. Now, he was handling the police the way the whites handed over to him. If you do the wrong thing, you'll be dealt with.
Yeah.
Then started these problems with Nkrumah's security. A bomb was thrown somewhere in Kulungugu that nearly killed Nkrumah.
Yes.
And Nkrumah was advised, I'll use the word, was advised to arrest his police chief and 3 others, Amanin and others, I can't remember all the names now, and put them into Osha Fort. Can you believe it?
Wow. Interesting.
People who were experts in rather trying to put a bullet, it was one individual policeman, not these days, you call everybody police officer.
Yeah.
No. An officer is somebody who has pips on the shoulders. So also is the military. A soldier is a soldier, an officer is an officer. Now, you allow that person who was on guard at the Flagstaff House take a rifle, his guard rifle, aim at the president to shoot the president. Wow. If the president had not been lucky, he would have been killed.
Sure.
You follow me? That immediately doesn't mean the head of the police must go.
Yeah.
Well, he's the one who can rather trace and let you know how they from. Sure. So you sacked them for nothing. They were not tried, nothing. They were in detention till you were removed. So these are some of the problems.
That's right.
You follow me? That's why I said, if you have culture of resignation, if you are going to make me CDS or IGP, and we sit down, you let me know that my terms of service and everything, I'll find a way to tell you. I've told Kufuor before. When Kufuor was making me head of the FA, like a joke, it was in Kumasi. We were sitting like I was sitting. Yeah. In fact, we were in the porch, sitting down, chatting. I remember very, very well. Then when he said, "Oh, now I want you to go and help us in the football sector," yeah, so, I know you can do it. And that. But before then, I've been talked to. But when he tried first, I didn't want it. Didn't want it, yeah. So I told him, okay. Then he said, when you go, don't go and play your old tricks. Then Kufuor told me this. I said, hey, Kofi.
Which one is the old tricks?
Yeah, I said, Kofi, what tricks are you talking about? Then he laughed. Then he said, don't go and favor Accra Asofo. And what I told him? Then I said, don't interfere in my work. And believe me, he never interfered in my work.
That's interesting.
He knows me. He knows what I could do if he interfered. He never interfered. As for that credit, I always gave it to him. He never. He never interfered. You see, so, as I said, if you don't have people with that culture of resignation, or you feel you have no culture of resignation, don't get close to political power or administration. Don't get close there. Because when you fail, you become a problem.
Interesting. That's
you follow
very
me?
Interesting.
Yeah. And we have in this country ministers, and I will even dare say, the topmost man, who under proper democratic dispensation would have taken the pen and resigned. I just can't do that work. Take your work. Well, they are not doing it.
The very last one. Our time is up. Very, very last one. Two things, though. Your very last advice and words as we prepare for the 2024 elections, in line with political apparatchiks, their operations, what needs to be done. And then also, I will need you to give an advice to the electorate, knowing very well that this is an election year, and we are going to the 2024 general elections. Our focus, among other things, is to ensure that we train the minds of our viewers to make the right decision, because governance is a serious business. Your very last words.
No, with the electorate, it's quite a straightforward thing. Everybody is now complaining. I have not come across somebody who says he's comfortable or she's comfortable. You come on the television, I don't go to the market, you come on the television screens, everybody complaining, both the women selling and those buying items. Yeah. And in all democratic systems, when the economy hits you, you know how to vote.
That's true.
So if they are really suffering, they won't allow any foolish person to approach them and give them 1 cedi or 2 cedi to vote for them.
That's right.
What you do, a sensible person does, is to change the government and try another one. This is what happened in civilized countries. And I hope this time our people will learn that. That's all that I'll say.
Fantastic. Well, so this is where time will allow us, and I believe we've had another insightful conversation with our guest, Captain Dr. Nyahu Tamaklo. As we prepare into the 2024 elections, we should be very careful that all we have is the democracy we have now, and we need to protect it. And our focus should be on how to minimize, if not to, take away totally the role of political apparatchiks, because they are, from the conversations we've had, a threat to our democracy that we are practicing. Again, the advice that has been given as we prepare for the 2024 elections, I believe we'll ponder and then we'll make a right decision based on that. As always, this coming Wednesday at 11 a.m., we are going to have a repetition of this episode right on this platform, TV XYZ. And it is also live on all our social media platforms, particularly on our Facebook and our YouTube channels. So you can still go back to it and then, listen to it, watch it again. And I'm sure you're going to learn something new after watching it and after listening to it. Next week, we'll come your way again with another insightful episode or conversation. Till we meet next week, on your behalf, on my behalf, and on behalf of the production team, we want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Nyahuta Maklo. Doc, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and everything. I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson, and all I can say is good night for now.